Hi, and welcome back to step 2 of this coding along session. Like I said, it's going to be short and sweet videos. I'm going to be talking fast. I'm going to be coding fast. But again, take your time, put it in half speed, pause it to look at some code, try to understand what I'm doing. And you know what? Let's go. We created in last session, we created a registered function here that saves our user in an array. Perfect. This is just the basic node knowledge of Express, having a route, getting data in, and saving that data in a variable. Now, the next part is, of course, we're trying to log in. We're going to pass along email and password, and we're going to check if that email and password is present. So let's start with the basics. We're adding a post route called login, and we are expecting a body in this request. All right. And the first thing we're going to do, I immediately will do that because we already have the code. Check if email and password is present. If not, we're going to send back a error. Switching to the code, I am going to delete this console log. Try to clean your console logs always to have much cleaner code by the end of the project. So console logs should only be used for testing and development, but not so much in production. So again here, send back. Use comments that make sense for you. Send back response when user is safe. This is the register function. So what we are going to do, I'm going to copy the top part because again, it's another post request. But this time, don't forget your bracket. This time it's login. And this time we're not requesting the username, we are requesting the email. Et voila. And we already have the first part. As in, we have a post request that is called login. We are checking for empty fields, which is the email and the password. And if it's okay, we're off to the races. I should be able to, I should test this. At least I have some issues here apparently. Node1 crashed, missing something after argument. This should be okay. If email or if password. Aha, I see it. So again, post opens with a normal bracket. This is, and then here we need to add this. Make sure that this is handy with Node1. Now it keeps restarting. I can test this. I know that it works. Let's continue. But by all means, pause the video here. Make sure you have the same code and check it in Postman. Now that we have checked it, we can continue on to the next part. The next part would be, if the data is present, which it is, search in the users array for a user with the password. And then we have, of course, 3 scenarios. Think about the daily login systems you use. If you type something in, you can have 1 of 3 scenarios. You logged in because everything is correct. Your password is incorrect because you forgot it and made a mistake. Or your email is not recognized and you somehow do not have an account anymore on that email. So those are 3 scenarios that we're now going to be implemented. Again, a bevy of if statements. Let's go. Check for the user in array users. We can use a find system for this. So we have the email. The email is the unique identifier in here. So I'm going to use a find request. So let user equals users, which is the array dot find, and find the large text here. Find uses a callback method that is executed for each element in the users array. You can look at Mozilla or Developer Network for how the find method really works, but basically it is just I'm just going to call it element because the element is always the thing that it's loaded into. So the first part of the array is loaded into element, and then this function is executed. I can do brackets, but I'm only going to do a 1-line expression, mainly to check if something is true. If it's true, it's going to return true, and then that object, the first one it finds, will be loaded into this variable. And what am I going to check? Well, the element.email, which is the email of the user inside this array, if it's equal to the rec body.email. And that's all it does. So if in this array, it finds an element that has the email the same as the email we just got in from the login, then we have our user. And then we have a couple of if statements. So if there is a user, then we need to compare passwords. I'm just gonna close this. We're gonna compare passwords. If there is no user, that's the else statement here. No user found. Then send back no user found means send back error. And then we can again send back this one. Not a bad request. You know what? I'm gonna do a status authentication error. Let's make it fancy. Authentication error, and the message is no user with this email has been found. Make sure you register first. It's a good reminder to get that out of the way. So we have our error when no user is found. Now we're going to compare passwords. The password is in here. So if user.password equals rec.body.password. Again, don't worry about encryption, etc. That's for later guides. We are doing the basic stuff. Again, multiple. The errors are more easily to handle. So password is incorrect, and I'm gonna send back the same error, authentication error, and password is incorrect. That's one. And if it's okay, you can send back, at this point, we're going to send back a message, but with, of course, status 200. 200, which means status authentication successful. I think it's one as successful. You are logged in. Perfect. How we're going to persist that later inside in the front end, that's for the later steps. But now we're just going to make sure that our backend is up and ready with two routes, a register and a login. And then, of course, make sure that we can use it in the front end. That's the next step. But we'll test this for now. Let's open up Postman. I will show the code in a second. You know what? Take a pause here. You should have the beginning part. The moment you're searching for the user, then make sure you pause here and type everything over so you understand what everything does. Once you have that, we can go to Postman and we can start testing. So, is it running my server? Always make sure your server is running. Localhost 3000. Again, don't make sure that it does not reboot during the testing process. So let me refix this one. So we have a register, we have a login, and in that login, we have an email and a password, test1234. As you can see, these are the exact same as in the register. But first, of course, before we can log in, we need to register first. So send, saved. The user has been saved. That means it's now saved in not in a database, not in a text file, just in the memory as variable of that API. That API is running. Let me check. It is still running. So it's now in the memory here. And if we try to log in, it's going to check out that users array, which holds my user, and it's going to check for the password. Authentication successful. You are logged in. But of course, testing wouldn't be testing if you say, hey, it's okay, it works, let's continue. No, you're going to check every scenario. And remember, we have 3 scenarios. Email does not exist, or user does not exist, and the password is incorrect. So let's start with the email here. So if I type in an incorrect email, this is not an email that exists, we will get no user with this email has been found, which is correct. Later we will test the reverse if no one has registered. So I will redo this. you are logged in. And we're going to change the password to 12345. And now we get password is incorrect. So every use case that we have works. I will now reboot the server by just, in my case, typing an error, because then my node1 will refresh. Again, there is no user now registered in this system because every variable has been refreshed. The server has been refreshed. If we try with Postman, if we try to log in, it will not find an email because the person has not been registered. If I go to register first and click on send, it's now registered and saved. And if I go to login and click on send, the password is, oops, incorrect. Let's fix that. The password is okay, and we are logged back in. So with that out of the way, we have step 2 completed. We have a backend which has a register function and a login function. Let's get to step 3, where we finally hook up our front end and where you will have your first full stack application.